So you've heard about people traveling for cheap or maybe even for free, and you're wondering, how the heck do they do that? Well, today I'm going to cover the basics of what you need to know to start traveling for cheap. If you promise to watch the whole video, I'll tell you the secret right now. Collecting and redeeming points. I'm going to give you a lot more valuable information, so stick around to the end to find out how you can even save money on travel if you have 0 points. First, not all points are created equal. I break points down into 3 categories. First is program-specific points, the second is fixed-rate points, and the third are transferable points. Program-specific points are tied to a hotel or airline and can only be used for booking their flights and hotels. With airlines, there is some flexibility due to airline alliances, but as this is a beginner's guide, I'm just going to keep it simple. Just assume that Aeroplan points are for Air Canada flights, WestJet points are for WestJet flights, etc. For hotel points, they are limited to the chain in question. Marriott points for Marriott hotels, Hilton points for Hilton hotels, etc. Within this category, it is important to note that the number of points required for booking is not directly related to the cash value. You will find situations where there could be 3 Marriott hotels that cost $150, $200, and $250 a night, but they're each 20,000 points. In a situation like this, you would want to look for the hotel that is the nicest and the most expensive to get the greatest value for your points. In fixed rate point programs, each point has a very specific fixed value. For example, TD reward points earned by spending on cards like the first class travel visa are worth half a cent per point. So you know if you have 50,000 points, it's $250 in value. Another program that falls into this category is the Scene Plus program run by Scotiabank. When redeemed for travel, these points are worth 1 cent each. So again, 50,000 points would be worth 500 points. There are pros and cons to focusing on these kinds of points. The obvious pro is that you know exactly how much your points are worth. However, the con is that you've really hit a ceiling for the point value, and there's no opportunity to use them in a more strategic way to get more value out of those points. The last category is transferable points, where the 2 biggest for Canadians are American Express membership reward points and Avion points. These types of points combine the first 2 that we talked about. Each point has a fixed rate value if redeemed for travel, but they can also be transferred to program-specific points like Aeroplan. American Express membership reward points can transfer to Aeroplan or Marriott and a number of others. Meanwhile, Avion points can be transferred to WestJet, British Airways, Avios points, and some other programs as well. It is important to understand the difference in these types of points when choosing which ones you want to collect. Now to understand the different categories of points, let's talk about 3 main ways to earn points. The first and often the biggest are the sign-up bonuses. Most major point-earning credit cards will give you a welcome bonus chunk of points by hitting certain minimum spend thresholds in the first 3 to 12 months. Quite often you can find a credit card where the annual fee is $120 or $150, and the sign-up bonus is easily worth $500 or more. It is easy to see how taking advantage of welcome bonuses can make travel cheaper pretty quickly. Note that some credit card companies, like American Express, have a once-in-a-lifetime policy where you can only earn the welcome bonus on that particular card once. Other companies like TD and RBC do not have these same rules, which means you can sign up for a card, get the welcome bonus, keep it for a year or 2, cancel it, and do it all again a year later. This process is referred to credit card churning. There are a lot of credit card welcome bonuses out there, so for most people, churning cards like this isn't really necessary. A second main way to earn points is through your everyday spend on the credit card. Sticking to the basics, cards will have different point earnings for different categories. Most credit cards, the highest spend category is grocery stores and dining. A card like the Cobalt card earns 5 times points on grocery and dining. The Scotia American Gold card also earns 5 times the points on grocery and dining. So if you spend a lot of money at grocery stores or go out for dinner a lot, these cards might make sense for you. So when considering a credit card, pay attention to which categories earn the most points. For myself, I will use a different credit card depending where I'm shopping. For example, I use my Cobalt card at grocery stores, but I use my American Express Bonvoy card for Amazon because Amazon doesn't fall into any bonus category and Marriott Bonvoy card has a strong earning rate in non-category spend. The last obvious way of earning these points is to actually fly with the airline or stay at the hotel chain. Every time you fly Air Canada, you would earn Aeroplan points. Unless you were already flying a lot or staying at hotels a lot, usually these points don't add up to much. Another important thing to know when learning to travel for cheap is how to redeem your points to get the best value. For transferable point programs like American Express or Avion, you will often have to look at whether it makes more sense to redeem the points directly at their fixed rate value or transfer them to another program like Aeroplan to book that flight. Just like prices, the number of points required in a fixed rate program will change. So just like watching for prices to drop, you should be constantly checking how many points are required for your hotel or your flight and be ready to book when the point required drops. This leads me to my next very important step, which is planning. Through all of this, it's best that you have a plan in mind. What got me into points in the first place was in 2019 when my wife said she wanted to go to the Maldives for her birthday. Now, if you haven't heard of the Maldives, it is beautiful and it is expensive. Hotels are expensive. Flights are expensive. It's all expensive. So I started planning, and as Canadians, I knew the easiest hotel point program for us to earn was Marriott. So I looked in the Maldives to find an ideal hotel and searched for some dates that worked for us. This gave me a target goal of the number of points I would need to collect and by when. Because I knew American Express points could transfer to Marriott points, I planned out how to earn the number of Marriott points needed through a combination of Marriott credit card sign-up bonuses and American Express sign-up bonuses. Another reason Canadians should focus on Marriott is because when booking on points, booking 4 nights gets you your 5th night free, meaning 5 nights cost the same number of points as 4 nights. In the end, we stayed 5 nights in an overwater bungalow for 160,000 Marriott points. The cash rate for this stay, over $5,000 US. And the annual fees on the 2 welcome bonuses I used cost me under $400. It always makes more sense to have a goal in mind when choosing which points to earn. Since you stuck around to the end, here's my tip for those who have 0 points in their account. Look for opportunities to buy points. Yes, you can buy points, and there is often an opportunity to receive bonus points when purchasing. For example, several months back, I was looking for a flight to from Toronto to London, England. Now, I'll acknowledge there was some luck involved here because Virgin Atlantic was just reintroducing their flights from Toronto to London, and were introducing these flights for very low points. And at the same time, they were offering a 20% bonus when purchasing points. I spent $270 US to buy 12,000 points and was able to book 2 one-way tickets. In addition to the points, there were $280 Canadian in taxes and fees. So altogether, it cost me roughly $650 Canadian for 2 one-way tickets. The cash value for these 2 one-way flights, $2,500. This doesn't always work out, but before you go paying full cash price for a flight, check how many points it would cost and what it would cost to buy those points. This was not the first time I took advantage of an opportunity like this, and it will not be the last. And there you have it, some basic tips for those of you just starting to get into the points collecting game. Follow these tips and you'll be well on your way to traveling for cheap or maybe even free. Thanks for watching.